we're going to look at comparing functions, and basically, though, more so on how can linear functions be modeled. And there's four basic ways that we can model a function. The first way is through a verbal expression. And for example, we could say add 1 to a number. There are many other ways that we can do that as well. We could say 1 more than a number. We could say a number increased by 1. We could say the sum of 1 and a number. So these are just some examples of how the verbal expression can be used to show us one way of how a function can be shown or modeled. Another way that we can model a function is by an equation. And this equation is exactly that of what we were just talking about in words. We're saying that the output is equal to the input plus 1, or a number plus 1, or a number 1 more than a number increased by 1. So this would be our equation. Then another way is by tables. We have two kinds of tables here, a horizontal table and a vertical table. Both are used for different reasons at different times, but you see the numbers that I've put in here reflect our model equation of y equals x plus 1, where we would input 0 and out would pop a 1. We would input 1, out would pop a 2. Input 2, out would pop a 3, because we're adding 1 each time. And again, we're showing it horizontally here and vertically here as well. One advantage of showing it vertically like this is because we can set up our ordered pairs right off the bat, and that makes it easier for our last method. And our last method is basically to show a function as a graph. Now you'll notice that I've put those 4 dots on here to represent those 4 numbers that we found on our table of values. But the reality is that we could continue on for quite some time. We could take put in 5, we could put in -3, we could do all kinds of things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a line that's going to continue on, that's going to reflect all of these numbers and more. So here we have that line. And as you see, it can go into the negative zone as well, because we could have tried negative numbers, or we could have tried fractions. If I'd put in 1/2, 1/2 plus 1 is 1.5. Right there I am on the line. I could put in 3/4. 3/4 plus 1 is 1 3/4. So I could have put in fractions as well as decimals, as well as negative numbers. So that would kind of put us there. So those are our 4 ways of modeling. So let's kind of put it all together, and we'll do one problem showing all the different ways to show a function so that we are able to compare it. Here I have an equation, y equals 3x minus 2. So let's first do this in terms of words, what the output will equal. Well, we could say 3 times a number minus 2. Okay, and that's probably pretty much the straightaway that people will come up with. We could always take it a little bit further and say the product of 3 and a number decreased by 2. And again, this wording, this verbal expression, also shows that side of the equation. So either of those would represent what we would do to the input and get the output. So now let's take the table. And here on the table, I have it set up that we can choose any 3 numbers we want. Now, we know the 3 easiest numbers are 0, 1, and 2. So that's the numbers we're going to use. So let's put a 0 into this. So we'll have 3 times 0 minus 2. Well, 3 times 0 is equal to 0, and 0 minus 2 is -2. We'll try it again with 1. 3 times 1 minus 2. So 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 minus 2 is 1. One more time, we'll put 2 as our input into this particular function box, as we say. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 minus 2 is 4. So now we have 3 ordered pairs. We have 0, -2. We have 1, 1. And we have 2, 4. And we can take all of these and draw a line through our points. I fix my line up here a little bit. Make sure I have arrows on both ends. And that would show all the possibilities for this particular function. So hopefully by watching this, you can see the different ways of comparing a function and looking at a function and its multiple representations.